How's it hanging, homies? It's your boy MasterSef here at 482TCG, and today we have a very special video. Today we're going to have some actual Battle Spirits gameplay. So recently I've been playing a lot with my friend and my good pal Nick TCG. He actually has his own YouTube channel that he makes Battle Spirits content as well, so I'll link that in the description below. But me and him actually played a match recently. It was a best of 3 series. Me playing Nova, Star Dragon Nova. I love Nova, he's such a cool card. And Nick was playing Purple Curse with Maduke as his finisher or whatever. So this video is gonna have our series. Once again, it's the best out of 3. I'll try to commentate over it here and there. There's a lot going on, and I'll try to, do my best to explain things, especially if you're new and you're just picking up the game. But it's been a lot of fun playing recently, personally. So here's gonna be my Nova deck on screen right now for you. And then next we're gonna show Nick's Purple Curse deck list right here on screen for you. But yeah, this is a pretty fun series. Hopefully I can get some more gameplay videos up very soon. I wanna do like a match Monday where I upload a match every Monday if possible. If I can. I also want to try to showcase new decks. And if you're interested in more on my Nova deck list and why I made the choices I make, I'll be uploading a Nova deck tech later this week, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this match. All right, so here we start with game number 1. We've already shuffled, so we're going to start by cutting each other's decks, and then we're going to roll to see who goes first. So, like I said, I'm playing Star Dragon's Supernova combo, and then Nick is playing Purple Curse with Maduke. This is our first time playing each other with these particular decks. The camera can see the hands a little bit, but obviously we couldn't see each other's hands while playing. So Nick rolls a 7, and so then I roll as well, and I end up rolling a 10. So I can decide who goes first. It's interesting in this game because they want you to see your opening hand first, then decide who goes first, then decide if you're going to mulligan or not. And I elect to let Nick go first, and I choose to go second. If you choose to not mulligan, you actually get an additional card, which is what Nick did. He did not mulligan, and he got an extra card. I choose to mulligan because I guess was not really happy with the hand I got. If you mulligan, you shuffle your 4 cards back into your deck. Oh, sorry, you draw 4 more first, then you shuffle your 4 cards back into your deck, and then you, you just stick with that hand that you get, right? So I do let Nick go first. This game is pretty interesting to me because it's one of the weird games where I see a lot of people, at least in my circle, want to go second, right? There's very few times that I want to go first unless I'm playing like, I guess something like, even though I'm playing like aggro, I generally want to go second because second gets first attack, second gets an extra core, so you get more mana to your opponent as well. So there's a lot of benefits to going second. So that's why I elected to go second here in this particular case. Nick starts off by playing a burst and dropping a Camelot Knight. So I go ahead and start. I get my core. You will notice that Nick did not get his first core because first player cannot get a core during the core step. They basically have to skip it for lack of a better term. So I end up drawing for my turn, and nothing really happened, so I just pass. All right, Nick spends some cores to play Dark Knight Aglavale. Aglavale has an ability that whenever he's destroyed, if the soul core is on him, then you get to draw a card. But currently he has a soul core on Camelot Knight because Camelot Knight needs a soul core on him to activate Curse. Nick goes into attack step. I have no defenders on the board, so I am forced to either play a flash card out of my hand or to take the attack. I do not play any flashes, and I just take 2 life right on turn 2. Or I guess technically his turn 2, turn 3, and go down to 3 HP. Which honestly isn't awful because every time you take life, that life goes to your reserve, giving you more cores to work with to cast your spirits and different abilities. So here I'm going to drop 6 cores to play my Andromeda straight out of my hand. Andromeda has a when summoned effect that says whenever he's summoned, you can either destroy a Nexus or an opponent's card that has 3,000 or less BP. So because Aglavale currently does not have the soul core on him, I elect to destroy him, so that way Nick does not get to draw from the Aglavale. After that, I pass my turn because I don't want to get attacked. I don't want him to drop like 3 more dudes out of his hand and then to swing for game next turn if I attack.
with Andromeda, so I elect to just not swing. I played Andromeda just for the removal, and then I passed on. Alright, Nick plays Netherworld Depths as a Nexus. Netherworld Depths is an excellent Nexus because it says whenever your opponent exhausts a spirit, whether that's to attack or to block, you get to draw a card. So it really deters you from both wanting to attack into your opponent as well as deters you from wanting to block sometimes because you don't want to give your opponent extra card draw. There aren't a lot of cards in the game right now that give card draw, so those effects are very, very strong right now in my opinion. And as you can see, I relate a lot, so I play my own Netherworld Depths just because I would really like to get some of that card draw myself, and also it might deter Nick from attacking me because right now I don't think I have a lot in my hand to really defend myself. So I'm hoping to get some cards that can maybe help me survive, as well as to maybe convince Nick to not attack even if he has a board, just because I think he doesn't want to give me card draw. So Nick summons a Boa Trickster. It's just a unit with curse. He's trying to get a lot of curse units on the board because even though my Andromeda is bigger than his guys, curse says that whenever you block your opponent's creature with curse, that they die on contact or on block. So even if I am smaller than his spirits, if his spirits attack me and I block into them and they have curse, my unit dies anyway, and I do not want that to happen generally. But when he has a lot of units on the board, I might be forced to block. But then he goes ahead and passes his turn. So like I said, the Netherworld Depths is really deterring him from attacking me, which is exactly what I needed because I did not want to get rushed down super hard by his curse units. Granted, he may have been able to attack and been fine, but I'm sure his thought patterns were I wasn't going to die that turn anyway, so I might as well not waste the attack. So I dropped my cool friend Halberd Arc. He has an ability that says units that cost, spirits that have 2000 or less BP cannot deal damage to the opponent, and that's for both you and your opponent. So if either of you have spirits that have 2000 or less BP, you cannot deal damage. And then when I attack, he also has a when attack effect that says on attack you can destroy one of your opponent's spirits that have 2000 or less BP. So I attack with him just to help clear his board a little, and I decide to eliminate this Boa Trickster right here just to kind of whittle down his board a bit more, because once again I'm more afraid of him aggressing onto me, and I'm willing to give him a draw for that just to help clear his board. He elects to take the damage, and then after that I end my turn because once again I don't want to leave myself wide open, nor don't want to give him too many draws from his Netherworld Depths either. So Nick plays Beldegor of the Dark World 7. Beldegor has a wind summon ability that says he can destroy any exhausted spirit that costs 3 or less whenever he is summoned. Or is it 4 or less? I should probably know that while I'm recording this video. But yeah, so he destroys my Halberd Arc, which means his small guys can now attack in. It's 4 or less, so it's not 3 or less, but it's 4 or less. Then Nick plays Purple Smoke Valley as a Nexus. This Nexus is really good for his deck because Purple Smoke Valley, what it does is whenever he destroys a spirit, I play a lot of Vanguard. Whenever he destroys a spirit via core removal, he gets to draw a card, which combos very well with cards in this deck such as King Cursed Dragon and a few other cards like Core Drain or Core Theft. So it's just another way for him to get additional card draw. So even though Nick does have a board that's bigger than mine, he elects to pass once again because he's really wary of giving me card draw from the Netherworld Depths. At some point, I'm not really entirely sure if it's worth passing that much. You know, maybe he might need to attempt to do a bit more damage to me, especially since I don't have any bursts down. So he doesn't have to be worried about Absolute Ice Shield, but he decides to let it pass anyway. Then I'm able to play my Galaxy Dragon Andromedios, which is a really good card from the Structure deck. Both of these cards on the field right now are actually cards from the Structure deck, very good. But Andromedios' effect is he counts as 2 red symbols for reduction when he's on the field, which is very good because a lot of my Star Dragons have high cost but pretty decent reduction cost. But his important effect and why I have him in this deck is that whenever he attacks, he lets me to top check the top 3 cards of my deck for a Star Dragon, which is very, very useful to help find my combo pieces. I then drop another Andromeda to clear his Netherworld Depths, so now I feel a bit safer attacking without giving him additional card draw, which I know is not what he wants. So I'm not really worried about clearing his board at this point because his guys are a bit smaller than mine. I was more worried about keeping him from drawing additional cards. So then I attack with Andromedeos and I use his effect to top check the top 3. I have 2 choices for a Star Dragon and I elect to add this Divine Mars Dragon Ares Dragoon, probably because I already have a Seagworm in my hand to combo with Nova if I need to. Otherwise, I would have grabbed the Seagworm instead because I need Seagworm to get the heal effect from Nova whenever I ascend later in the game. Nick elects to just take the life. Don't want to block. Don't want to give me any card draw. And also, I'm assuming he wants more core for his effect. And I decided to just end there because once again, I want to make sure I have enough defense to keep myself alive in case he decides to go wide and swing out. So Nick plays Dark Bishop Baculus, a very strong card that has a when summon effect that says when summoned, you are able to remove a core from everything on the field until it has only 1 core remaining. As far as spirits go, it does not apply to Nexuses, of course, but it removes a core from every spirit. It removes cores from every spirit until they only have 1 core remaining on them. And then after doing that, he goes into his attack step. So because he attacks, I do get to draw a card from Netherworld Depths. I think I forgot to draw it, but hopefully I fixed that. We're still very new to the game, so there's going to be a lot of misplays. But I take both of these attacks. I missed 2 draws there. I'm assuming I get them after I remember in a second. But yeah, see, there we go. I have remembered Netherworld Depths as a card. I get my 2 draws there, and I go down to 1 HP. And now he has to decide whether he wants to continue swinging, but he probably won't because I have 2 blockers on board, and he won't be able to kill me. I'm sure he realizes. I'm assuming his plan here was to attempt to clear my board a little bit by attacking and force me to block his attackers, who are curse units with my bigger guys, but I decide to just take the damage. And I take the damage for a very specific reason, which we will see in just a moment. Really one of the most fun things to do with my deck, and just a great thing to do in general, as you are about to see. Is what made me really want to play Nova. This combo is what really cemented me in wanting to play Nova. It's such a fun card. This deck is super fun to me. Alright, so first I put some cores onto my Andromeda. I'm trying to set up for my combo turn I'm about to do. There we go. So I spend 2 cores to play Big Bang Energy. Big Bang Energy is a magic that says that when it is played, all of my Star Dragons in my hand cost the same as my life. So because I'm at 1 HP, all of my Star Dragons are just 1 cost. But the kicker is that they still count their reduction cost on top of that. So because I'm at 1 HP and all of my Star Dragons have at least 1 reduction, they all cost 0 for the turn when played out of my hand. And then I get to activate Nova's effect. So Nova, whenever he is summoned, I have to ascend as an additional cost. Ascend means you have to basically sacrifice a 6 cost or higher card whenever you play him. But he has an additional effect that if you ascended using a card with Seagworm in the name, you can pay your soul core from whatever it is to remove it from the game. And if you've removed it from the game, you get to return yourself back to 5 HP. So I get to heal for 5 after discarding that Seagworm on his summon. And then, even more fun, whenever he attacks, if he's at least level 2, he can blow up 10,000 BP worth of cards from your opponent's side of the board. So you can do the math and you can add them all up, but as long as their combined total is at least 10,000 or less, he can kill them. So I elect to kill Beldegor. Actually, in this situation, I can kill all of his units because their combined BP is underneath 10,000, which is a pretty good swing for me. You know, being able to play a bunch of cards and then swing into high power, and heal is a very strong turn. But he activates one of the best burst cards in the game, a staple really, Absolute Ice Shield. Absolute Ice Shield says, for those who are still new to the game, I probably won't explain cards forever, but for those who are still new to the game, it says that whenever you lose life, if it's in your burst area, you can activate it for free to gain a life back, and then you can pay the cost. If you pay the cost, it ends your opponent's attack step. After the attack step is the end step. There's no main step 2, so once your attack step is over, your turn is essentially over. So he takes the attack from Nova, and then he ends his turn. I'm sorry, he ends my turn by playing Ice Shield and gets his HP back as well. So as you can see, that was a very strong swing in my favor. Nova has a very polarizing effect when he comes down, especially if your opponent has no good way to deal with him. So then Nick plays on his main step Deadly Balance. Deadly Balance requires you to destroy a unit of your own, and then your opponent has to select a unit of theirs to destroy as well. But because Nick has no spirits on the board, he doesn't have to destroy anything, but I still have to destroy something myself. So I decided to destroy one of my Andromedas. I wanted to keep Andromedios on the board because of the Star Dragon search. I obviously wanted to keep Nova on the board because of his powerful effect when he attacks. And then my Dragoon on the side there has a really cool combo with Nova, so I wanted to hold on with him as well. And I had 2 Andromedas, so it's an easy decision to discard one of them. So I play a card to my burst area. It is probably an Ice Shield. Just for future reference as well, as of recording this match right here, I did not own any Absolute Ice Shields myself. Nick had a playset, but I did not have any at all. So I'm actually proxying them. Nick was cool with it when we were playing just to get that experience. So if you see any cards that are reversed in the sleeve, like just the back of a card in the sleeve, those are my Ice Shield proxies. Ice Shield is the only card I'm proxying, so you don't have to really worry about that. So anyway, I attack with Andromedios to use his effect to try to see a Star Dragon. Unfortunately, I whiff. I saw all magics and nexuses, I believe. So I don't get a Star Dragon to my hand, but Nick does take the attack, and because I attacked, he does get a draw off of Netherworld Depths. And so now I'm deciding if it's worth continuing to swing in. At this point, I'm like, I don't really care if he draws because he's only at 2 HP, so I'm going to force him to use that Absolute Ice Shield. Or if he's bluffing the Ice Shield, then I'm going to swing in and see if he has an answer to survive. But he does have the Ice Shield, so because he has the Ice Shield, he's able to end my attack turn once again, and is able to keep holding on. So now we go over to Nick's turn. He refreshes. He has quite a lot of cores to work with, so we're going to see what he ends up cooking up on this turn. So Nick plays a Dark Lancer. This has an effect that when summoned, he gets to draw a card. So he's obviously trying to draw into some kind of answer for my board state right now, because if he's not able to answer my board state, I'm basically going to win next turn, especially if he doesn't have an Ice Shield in hand again. I'm reminding him right here that he needs to get additional draws from my Nova attack, because I do believe he missed a draw from my Nova attack on the previous turn because of Netherworld Depths. You know, like I said, we're still learning the game. There's going to be misplays, so we want to make sure that we're at least pointing out to each other very obvious things like missed draws or missed card effects whenever we both notice. So that's why I am nice and remind him there. He plays another Dark Lancer to draw another card, and he actually draws into his King Curse Dragon, which is a really big combo he has in his deck. I do believe he pulls it off this turn, but let's see if he actually does. I don't want to spoil it if he does and you haven't seen it yet or you don't know what I'm talking about. All right, so here Nick plays Dark Bishop Baculus, and as we remember, Baculus takes all but one core off of every spirit on the board and then puts those cores into your reserve, your respective reserves. And so here comes the combo I was talking about. So now he's going to play King Curse Dragon. So here we had a bit of a rule dispute. So I'm going to explain it while we were kind of fumbling on the footage really quickly. So basically, Nick currently has 5 max reduction, but he does not have enough cores to play Curse Dragon without killing or taking cores off of spirits on the board. So the ruling that we decided to roll with is that according to the comprehensive rules, once you reveal a card, you calculate reduction immediately for everything on the board, and then you pay the cost. So because of that, before he pays the cores off of the spirits on the board, he's able to count them as reduction towards Cursed Dragon. And then after doing that, he's able to use those same cores on them in order to help pay for them, and then finally take the core off of Bacchus to keep Cursed Dragon on the board. That's how we ruled it. That made sense to us according to the comprehensive rules. If that ruling is wrong later, I'll let you guys know later. But anyway, to keep explaining what just happened as well, because I know we're missing a lot. So once he plays King Cursed Dragon's Wind Summoned ability allows you to remove a core from every single spirit on the field, whether it is yours or your opponent's, and then he gets to add cores from the void to himself for every spirit that was destroyed due to this effect. So because Bacchus reduces everything to 1 core, he can clean up the entire board. And then because 4 of my units died, he got to add 4 cores to his Cursed Dragon. So it's basically effectively a pretty expensive board wipe, but it puts Nick exactly where he needs to wipe my entire field and hopefully puts him back in the game. So I play my good friend Andromedios. At this point, I'm trying to draw back into an answer. I kind of played everything I had, trying to end the game there, so I'm really low on cards as well as units. I'm sorry, spirits. I keep wanting to say units. Eventually I'll say spirits. I'll figure it out. I apologize. But yeah, so I get Andromedios to try to find more spirits. I'm back at 5 HP, so I'm more willing to attack now because I don't really care about taking HP, because at this point taking HP gives me additional cores. I know Nick probably cannot kill me in 1 turn, especially because I have a burst card down, which we're probably both assuming is Absolute Ice Shield. So at this point, I'm like, hey, I'm back at 5 HP. He's at 2 HP. I need to attack, clear his board because he can't really afford to take attacks, as well as search for more answers with my Andromedios. Because if I find another Nova or something of that nature, it is very, very strong. So I start by attacking with the Sigworm over here, because whenever he has enough cores on him, he has Confront, and Confront forces your opponent to block, even if they do not want to. So I attack with him first. Even though it gives him a card draw, he is forced to block, and I can kill off 1 of his spirits. Because he blocked, I also get to draw a card from my Netherworld Depths. Netherworld Depths is a very, very good Nexus. I expect to see a lot of that card played from a lot of different color decks, just because of how strong it is. So then I attack with my Andromedios, and because it's level 2, I do get to top check the top 3 cards on my deck for a Star Dragon. I hit 2 magics, but I do hit my Nova. It is the Saga Rare Nova. Yes, I am playing with a Saga Rare. I pulled the Saga. It was my 4th Nova. I only had 3 before, so I am playing it. I am taking very good care of it though. I'm making sure not to dent it, not to bend it, not to scratch it. I am keeping it in as pristine condition as possible. So my Andromedios is swinging in. He is currently smaller than the Cursed Dragon, so he can choose to block and it will kill my Andromedios, but he does have to be careful of potential flashes out of my hand. And speaking of which, we do flash. So Nick passed his flash phase. The defender always gets first flash action. He passed, so I decide to flash out a Big Bang Energy to buff my Andromedios by 2,000. So it goes up to 6,000, which still is not enough to defeat his Cursed Dragon. But Nick decides to flash anyway, just to keep his Cursed Dragon safe, because he's afraid of what I might be able to do. And he just decides to be no nonsense and just core drain him. So core drain will just take the cores off of my Andromedios because it is exhausted, and because of that, the battle essentially just ends. So I was attempting to try to kill his Cursed Dragon, but I was unable to do so because of the flashes, and so he wins that combat and we just move on. But yeah, so the way flashes work in combat is that whenever you declare an attack, the defender gets to play a flash card from hand first. If they skip, the attacker gets to play a flash card, and if they play a flash card, the defender gets another action, or if they skip, then the flash window stops. And that applies the same way when they declare blockers. So it's declare attack, defender flash, attacker flash, and if there's 2 simultaneous passes, then it goes to block, And if you block, then you get another defender flash and attacker flash. If you do not block, however, there is no more flash windows and the attack just goes through. So Nick plays an Okapando. It is just a 4-drop spirit that has curse. He's trying to rebuild his curse board so that way he can try to get back into the match somehow. At this point, he might be feeling a bit more comfortable, so he might be willing to attack me, but he is at 2 HP, so he has to be careful that I cannot spam the board. Luckily for him, Star Dragons aren't the same as Pterosaur. They don't really flood the board very quickly unless I have a Big Bang Energy. And then he drops a second Netherworld Depths. So, as you might be wondering, yes, both Netherworld Depths will proc if you attack. So if I attack or block, he gets to get 2 card draw because both Netherworld Depths proc individually. So it's very strong deterrent to make me not want to attack him. But at the same time, he's only at 2 HP. So I'm probably gonna attack him anyway. So I was just double checking Purple Smoke Valley. So right here we realized a misplay. We actually realized that earlier whenever he used his King Curse Dragon to blow up my field, he should have gotten 4 draws off of that because 4 units died due to core removal. But we both forgot about it at the moment. I reminded him about it and I offered a chance for him to get the draw, but we both decided that it was too far past the point at this point in the game, and he decides to just not take the draw. That could have very well changed the outcome of this game, so do take this game with a bit of a grain of salt. And like we said, we're still new, we're still getting used to the cards just like all of you are, so there's bound to be misplays, especially in our first few matches playing brand new decks. So we do apologize for that misplay, but we didn't notice it. So Nick plays Beldegor again. Unfortunately, Sigworm is a 6 cost spirit, so he is not able to be destroyed by Beldegor's Wind Summoned effect. However, he still plays it just to get another body on the board. All right, Nick passes back to me. We're going into my turn. I have lots of cores to work with because I've taken a lot of damage, healed, and then well, I haven't taken any more damage yet, but I've taken a lot of damage. I basically have 4 additional cores than I would normally have while still being at 5 life, which is another strength of Nova. The later the game goes, he kind of ramps a little bit. Nothing crazy, unfortunately, but you know, it is still very strong, especially in the deck that has a decent high end. So I play my own Baculus. This allows me to reduce the cores of everything to 1 as well. It is a very strong combo with Nova as well because if they have a lot of cores on a spirit, making his BP higher, you can play Baculus to remove those cores, making their BP lower. And then when you play Nova, he is more able to destroy all of the cards that are on the field, which is super, super good as you can imagine. Speaking of which, I go ahead and play Nova. I have to hard play him for 7 just because I don't have enough reduction on the board, but I do ascend using Baculus. I don't really need Baculus as a body on the board. I just needed him for his effect, and then I'm able to ascend him to get rid of him to play my Nova. So because all of his spirits are at 1 core, I can blow up at least 2/3 of his field using Nova's effect, and I will use it to blow up the Curse Dragon and the Beldegor. So Beldegor does have an effect called Immortal that basically says that whenever a spirit that costs 4 or more dies, you were able to summon a Beldegor from your trash back to the field by paying the cost. So if I kill the Curse Dragon here and the Beldegor, I am able to, oh, sorry, I'm not killing the Beldegor, I'm killing the other unit. But if I kill the Curse Dragon and the Beldegor, or the other unit, he can summon back a Beldegor from his trash, which is what he is doing right here. I am unable to kill all 3 of them because their BP goes slightly above 10,000 BP, but I'm able to kill 2 of them, and I leave him with 2 Beldegors on the board, so now if he blocks with one of them, he does not get a Beldegor back to defend an additional attack, which is very, very important when you're playing around Beldegors. So Nick decides to block Nick decides to block Nova with his Beldegor, giving me a draw off of my Netherworld Depths, and then that Beldegor will die because Nova's at like 9,000 BP, so like Beldegor's like 3,000 BP. I am now debating if I want to attack with the Sieg Worm. Keep in mind that every attack I make, Nick gets 2 draws because he has 2 Netherworld Depths. But I am fine with that because I am I had enough on board, and I don't think he's going to be able to Baculus Curse Dragon me again. And Nova is a very high health unit to kind of kill. I should have been very wary playing around things like Deadly Balance and Core Theft, which I did not do. So Core Theft allows him to discard a card from his hand, and depending on how many cards he discards, he can remove that many cores from a spirit. So because my Sieg Worm only had 1 core on him, he's able to discard 1 card and kill him. So at this point, I should have thought about that a little bit safer, because if he had a Deadly Balance, he could use it to kill my Nova, which is very scary, but I don't actually remember if he has one or not. So I guess we're gonna find out together. But yeah, that could have been a bit of a misplay on my part, because if I lose Nova, I lose a lot of tempo here, but I think it's fine. All right, so Nick drops a Dragon Naga Assassin. It's just a unit with curse. Once again, trying to build up that curse board. There's a lot of cores to work with. Drops another curse unit, the Boa Trickster. And he don't stop. He drops another curse unit, the Dark Lancer, which lets him draw a card when he's summoned. And I think at this point, Nick realized he probably should have played the Lancer first. That way he could have gotten the draw first and maybe drawn into an answer, which I think he did draw into a Curse Dragon, which would have been a pretty good, not an answer per se, but it would have been a pretty good play to make on this turn, especially if he had a Baculus in hand. But he realized that a bit too late and played a bit out of order. But I just wanted to point that out for anybody watching, so that way you can think like, oh, hey, I have this guy in hand. I should play him first to draw and then see what options I have available to me. So then Nick plays the grand mom of his deck, Maduke, Queen Maduke, the queen. I should not disrespect her. So Queen Maduke is very interesting because she has the ability called Blood Curse. The way Blood Curse works is if your spirit would be destroyed by your opponent, instead of your spirit being destroyed, you can take one of your opponent's life, put the life onto Maduke, and then bring her back refreshed. Or I don't know if it takes the life off of her. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't put the life on her. It pays a life from your opponent, and then she can come back refreshed after paying the life. Very, very strong effect. And her level 3 abilities gives all of your spirits with curse Blood Curse as well, meaning if any of your spirits were to be killed by an opponent's effect, you can take one of your opponent's life, remove a core from your unit, and then keep that unit on the field refreshed, which means that if it happened during combat, they can come back refreshed and attack again. So it's a very strong and very scary ability, basically meaning I'm not really allowed to remove any of his spirits if I don't want to take damage. So here he's attacking. He's trying to go for gold. So I'm just getting draws off of this, which is pretty good for me. But unfortunately, I'm just sitting here having to take the attacks. Obviously, you can assume I have an Ice Shield face down, and I'm sure Nick is thinking about that as well. He's probably trying to bait me into playing the Ice Shield, so that way he can at least get rid of it for an additional turn where he maybe tries to kill me. And this is Nick reminding me right here that whenever a unit with Blood Curse deals damage to you, your cores also don't go to your reserve like they normally do. They go to the void. So not only do you take the damage, but you don't even get to use the resource anymore, which I was not aware of at the time. Like I said, fighting a new deck, playing a new deck. Oh yeah, so that's very impactful in this matchup. I wish I would have known that. But yeah, every single time you take damage from a spirit with Blood Curse, your cores do not go to your reserve like they normally do. They instead go to the void, meaning you don't get access to them whatsoever. So I take the attack from this spirit because it does not have curse, meaning I actually get to keep that life in my reserve, and I'm going to probably need to use it to Ice Shield him this turn so I do not die. Ice Shield does cost 4, so if I don't have enough cores to play the Ice Shield, I will die even if I do get the life back. Well, I would survive with 1 HP actually, looking at it now, but it is still a very scary spot to be in because that means I can no longer try to kill Maduke without dying. So I would optimally want to stay at 2 HP if possible this turn. All right, and Nick decides to pass here. I'm not exactly sure why he passed instead of aggroing me down a bit more. He may have been afraid of me retaliating since he doesn't have an ice shield down himself and he didn't want to tap out, but I'm not entirely sure actually. Yeah, he might have been afraid of, I have a lot of cards in hand, I have a lot of cores, so he might have been afraid of me going really, really wide and trying to kill him, which looks like what I'm attempting to do here anyway. So I guess it does make a bit of sense to not kind of swing out completely, but we're gonna see if he left enough blockers open to deal with my attack turn right here. So here I play another Andromeda. As we all remember, Andromeda allows me to either kill a Nexus or to kill a Spirit that has 3,000 or less BP, and I decided to kill his Beldegor here because now he does not have enough blockers to deal with all of my attackers. He can block with Maduke and then potentially take a life from me. But if none of my spirits can destroy Maduke, then he can't take the life from me. So this basically forces him to block my 2 smaller units so I can swing under Maduke. And then I can go in for the kill with Nova or my secondary or my other. So he has to block at least one of my units, and then I can go in for the kill with my other 2 units, which is what I am attempting to go here. I'm trying to go as wide as possible just to sneak under Maduke and kill him, since he doesn't have an ice shield showing. Now he could have an ice shield in hand, and you are still able to play ice shield out of your hand to stop an attack turn, which he may do here, but I'm just gonna go for the kill. I'm also replacing my burst card. So my burst card was ice shield, but I'm getting rid of it just in case I don't kill him this turn, and I'm putting down a Starblast draw in case I need additional draw on his next turn for some reason. But honestly, this is a go for broke kind of turn, which is what I'm about to do. Even though he's gonna get 2 draws off every attack, I think I just have to go for the kill right here. So I'm probably gonna swing with Rain Needle first because it's the smallest unit on the board. Even if he has removal for it, I still have enough attacks to swing through to him. Because the only removal he could possibly have would be a Burning Force or an Angelic Pressure to kill it, or maybe even a Deadly Balance. But even if he uses any of those, none of my other spears are affected by those outside of Rain Needle. And then on top of that, I can just kill Rain Needle and still have 3 attackers to swing at to try to kill him. So we're going with that. We are attempting to kill right here while Nick decides what to do. Also, sorry a little bit about all the table shake. We had the camera on the same table that we were playing on, and a little bit of shake here and there sometimes, so I apologize about that. Nick decides to take the damage, go down to 1 HP, and now I'm going to swing in and attempt to kill him here. I swing in with Andromeda, who has 4,000 BP when they attack, I believe. I gotta remember that. So he blocks here with Maduke. Maduke does have higher BP than my Andromeda, meaning that my Andromeda would die, but because he has no other blockers or anything, I am able to swing with anything else, and if he doesn't have anything in hand to stop my attack, he loses, which he does not. So because of that, I am actually able to win this game. We're just kind of discussing the end, but game 1 does go to Nova. So woo, we did it. Game 1. That was a pretty long game 1. I know it was. We're just kind of showing each other's hands and everything. But yeah, that game 1 was extremely, extremely long. But now we're going to get ready to move into game 2. All right, so here we go. Game number 2. So this time we decided to show you our hands. I don't know why we didn't need to do it before, but we can show you our hands so I can talk through my mulligan a little bit and you can kind of see. So in my hand, I open up with an Ice Shield, a Big Bang Energy, and an Andromedios. I decided to keep because Andromedios will let me search through my deck for additional Star Dragons. Big Bang Energy is my main combo tool, so I definitely want to hold on to it. And Ice Shield is just good to have, especially if I'm afraid of being aggroed down, which Nick's deck can do sometimes. Because Nick lost the first game, he can decide who goes first, and he makes me go first because once again, he wants that additional core as well as that first attack. So on my first turn, I have nothing really special to do, so I just play my Ice Shield in the burst area, and then I pass. So because Nick starts with 5 cores and not 4 like me, he gets to kind of open up with a little bit more fire. I don't know if he actually has it in his hand, but we're going to see right here. So he does drop down a Camelot Knight, which is a very cheap 1-drop from him. A pretty good start. Basically, in a curse deck, you always want to open with a Camelot Knight on turn 1 if you don't have a better curse unit to play on turn 1. Nick goes to attack, and he attacks with his Camelot Knight. I don't have any defender, so I'm forced to take the damage, which really isn't a big deal for Nova early on because I can always big bang energy my way into some nonsense later. So I just take the damage. So here I spend 4 to play my Andromedios, and I put 2 cores on him, which is perfect. I actually love taking that damage on turn 1 because it ensures that I can play my Andromedios, put 2 cores on him, and then activate his ability. And I get very, very lucky, and I luck into a Nova off of his ability, right? It was 2 duds in the Nova, but I definitely needed the Nova, especially because I had Big Bang Energy in hand, and Nova is just so integral in this matchup for clearing his board. So very lucky on my part. I've seen a lot of Nova lists, and I'm very surprised not many of them run Andromedios. I'm starting to see more people incorporate it in now, but that card was such a no-brainer for me, especially when I was first building the deck. I was like, this card seems so good. But anyway, I'm not here to... I'll be talking more about my Nova deck in my deck tech video that I'm going to be releasing later this week, so look out for that if you want to know the reasons why I put these cards in my deck. I'll talk more about that later. So anyway, here Nick plays Beldegor. Beldegor is when summon effect once again allows you to destroy a exhausted spirit that is 4 costs or less. So my Andromedios does die, unfortunately, but I am able to activate my Starblast Draw in response. Starblast Draw is a burst card that says when your opponent's win summon effect resolves, you can draw 2 cards. And then if you want, you can pay the card's cost to activate his main effect, which is also draw 2 cards. So it can be draw 4 for 4 mana. I don't have the 4 mana to play, so I just get the 2 free draws, and then I live with that. So even though Beldegor did kill my Andromedios, I was still able to get some value off of it. But now I'm staring down a full board of attackers, and I'm only at 4 HP. If he had one more, literally one more attacker this turn, I would have died. I don't think I would have been able to survive if he had one more attacker. But luckily, he only has 3, and he's debating on whether he wants to attack, put me down to 1 HP where I could potentially Big Bang Energy combo him, or if he wants to just pass turn and leave me at 4 HP so I can't Big Bang Energy. But he decides, for the sake of science, to swing out anyway. So he drops me down all the way to 1 HP from 4. So as you can see, this is a much more aggressive, much more fast-paced game than the previous one. All right, so I go into draws. I have, according to math, I went first. This is my, 2nd turn? So I have 2 cores, so I'm at 6 plus 4. So I'm at 10 cores right now, if my math checks out. I should put a core counter on here, I guess, next time. If you want a core counter, let me know down in the comments below, because that might actually help with the followability of the game a little bit. But anyway, yeah, so I have about 10 cores to work with. So he was afraid of Big Bang Energy being in hand. I do have Big Bang Energy in hand, but unfortunately I did not draw a Sagworm. So even if I am able to play Nova this turn, I will not get the heal. So right now I'm trying to portion out my cores to see if I have enough to play everything I want to play this turn. And I think I'm just going to say F it, we ball, and go for it. So I don't have any reduction on board, so I have to pay the full 4 for Big Bang Energy. But now all of my Star Dragons, and Star Dragons only, that are in my hand cost only 1 because my life is only at 1. So I don't get any reduction. So I play Andromeda. I have to pay 1 to play Andromeda and then put 1 core on Andromeda. But then I can use Andromeda's effect to blow something up, and I draw up the Okapando. Then for 0, because Andromeda does count towards reduction, I play Nova, and then I ascend Andromeda to play to put the core onto Nova. Then I play Nebula Dragon also for 0 because I have Nova on board. Nebula Dragon is a very special card because its effect says if you have the soul core on the spirit whenever it attacks, when it attacks, it has an additional red symbol. So for those who don't know, your symbol is how much damage you deal. So because the soul core gives him 1 additional red symbol, he actually deals 2 damage when he attacks. And then on top of that, he also reduces the cost of your magics in hand if they're red by 1 additional 1 because he has 2 symbols instead of 1. Only during when he attacks and only if he has a soul core on him. But I think this card is very, very good as an aggro card as well as to kind of counterplay around things like instant ice shield. Absolute ice shield. So I decided to kind of go wide to try to kill him. I play Nova here, and I use Nova's effect to blow up his board because I have the 3 cores on him. So now he is forced to deal with my attack or to block or something, because if he doesn't, I actually have 4 damage on board, which is lethal because I have 1 from Nova, 2 from Nebula Dragon because he has a soul core, and then 1 from the Divine Mars Ares Dragoon. Very long name. So he takes the 1 damage from Nova. Then I swing it with Nebula Dragon. So if he takes his damage from Nebula Dragon, it is 2 HP instead of 1, which will put him down to 1 HP. And I think he realizes that now. So he's going to make a play here. We kind of realized after the fact a bit of a mistake. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it because he's going to lose here. Spoilers, I'm sorry. So he flashes out Deadly Balance, right? Deadly Balance forces me to select one of my own units to destroy. And originally I was gonna choose the Dragoon, but I realized, oh wait a minute, if he doesn't have any other answers in his hand, he dies here, right? So I actually give up my Nova to keep my attackers on board, and that's when Nick realizes, oh, I lose. He realized that he should have actually played Deadly Balance on the Nova attack to force me to choose something to get rid of that on that attack, and then he would have actually survived, right? Because if he would have Deadly Balance on the Nova swing, he could have made me choose something to get rid of. I probably would have gotten rid of the Dragoon. Then he would have taken the 2 damage from the Nebula Dragon and survived at 1 HP. But because he did not do that, I am able to take home the gold and we win the series. So GG's to Nick, and stay tuned for a little bit of afterthought. All right, friends, and that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Shout out again to Nick TCG for playing with me. Once again, you can follow him as well. His stuff will be in the description down below. And then, yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share it with your friends if you want to show off some cool Battle Spirits content. Also, leave a comment down below. Let me know what else you want to see as far as Battle Spirits goes to this channel, or if you're interested in any other card games. I also play a lot of other card games as well. So that's going to be it for this video. Like I said, we'll be uploading another Nova deck tech later in the week, and then I'll have a surprise deck tech I'm going to try to get out this week as well for a deck that I think is pretty spicy. I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it recently, but I think it's really, really good. I'll also be uploading some box openings. I can't talk. I'll also be uploading some box openings if you're interested in that. Go ahead and check out my shorts as well. And I'll stop talking now. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.